Coaster Tycoon was a game that made my childhood great. It was one of the first video games I ever played, and I think everybody who was about 6 or 7, around the time when it came out, enjoyed the game very much, and believe it or not, it was kind of something that I think a lot of us held on to. Now, granted, I'm interested in real-life roller coasters and stuff, but I honestly think that this game really gave me my start with that. And even non-roller coaster enthusiasts can agree that Roller Coaster Tycoon was a game that resonated in a lot of childhoods because of its easy accessibility. I distinctly remember people getting this game in cereal boxes, and it was a smash hit when it came out, kind of a surprising smash hit, but it was. However, some things that all the people remember are the scenarios. There were 21 of them in the original game, whether they be awesome, your favorite, or the one you just love to hate. They were all there. Each one had their own quirk to them. And I'm going to rank them, in my personal opinion, from worst to best. All 21 of them. Now, granted, these are personal opinions, and you're probably going to disagree with me. I'm fine with that. You can call me whatever you want, but as long as you... I would like to hear what your opinions are, though, in the comments of each of these parks, or if I made what you think would be a mistake. But I also took into account that, well, if there's... Some parks have their own quirks that are supposed to be difficult, and I took that into an account. So, I'm going to tell you this, Rainbow Valley's not going to be number 21. In fact, you might be surprised. But anyway, if a park has its own quirk, well then, yeah, I might give it a little bit of a leeway, but who knows. Anyway, let's get on with the countdown with number 21. My least favorite park from the original games was one that I said could surprise you, and that's Trinity Islands. I don't like the way that the land that you own kind of follows the island map with kind of the bay in the middle of it, and the land is also very difficult to build on. You don't start off with a whole lot, but that I can kind of say is one of its quirks. But I just don't like this park, and I think it was very poorly conceived of, but hey, maybe that's why they built it. Number 20 is next. Number 20 certainly does its job of being annoying. Lightning Peaks is, quirk is the fact that it is so difficult to build on that pretty much flat rides that you can just plop down aren't really feasible. And the mountainous terrain is so difficult to build on, the track rides are extraordinary. I don't care for the path system that much, and it also has a very weirdly shaped, kind of spoon design for land. That's why Lightning Peaks is number 20. Big Pier is on here, mainly because it's misplaced, I think, in the game. Fifth to last park for a park where you're only needing 500 guests, no matter how small it is kind of a bit, stretching it. This one should have been, like, one of the first 5 or something. I guess the fact that you don't own any land and you only can use the land around it, or the water for that matter around it, is the quirk, but I don't know why 500 guests this late in the game is a thing. This park was the bane of my childhood. Dinky Park was not an easy park, however, when you look back at it, it fails at its goal. Its whole quirk is that it's supposed to be tiny, yet you can buy this humongous chunk of land about the size of Mothball Mountain with it, which is kind of against the purpose of the whole park. This park is low mainly because I didn't know where else to put it, and it kind of fell. It should be a little bit higher than what it is, but when you come with a list, it's gonna fall. Millennium Mines is kind of a step backward. 1, it's the ugliest park in the entire game, and 2, when Aqua Park, the park before it, required 900 guests, even though you had a bunch of pre-built rides, 800 for this place? It's huge! Terrain's a bit difficult, but it's not unmanageable. It's just ugly, and that's why it's so low on this list. But you can pretty much do whatever you want with it, and it's, I think, the intro to a couple of new coaster designs, but I'm not sure about that. Mel's World kind of fell by the wayside like Dinky Park. In all seriousness, it's not a terrible park. Terrain's kind of difficult to build flat rides on, but it's not unmanageable. The pre-built coasters are awesome, but after that, there's really not a whole lot to be desired. It's also very difficult to be building paths outward on Mel's World, which also kind of attributed to it. It's just kind of a meh park for me, and, well, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just meh. The goal, though, was pretty reasonable for its time with 1,200 guests. During research for this, I forgot that Thunder Rock even existed. let alone it's the last park in the game. With a 900 guest requirement by the end of October year 4? Were they nuts? That's so... Evergreen Gardens had a tougher goal than that. I guess it's tougher to get guests or something, but in all seriousness, I didn't think it was that tough. I think I pretty much doubled that. Thunder Rock was way out of place. I was kind of sad to see this one fall so low. It was my childhood favorite park, Mothball Mountain was, but when I recently replayed it, I thought, damn, this is a tough, pain-in-the-butt park. And it is. It's a little bit bigger than Dinky Park, or the area in Dinky Park that you can buy. Plus, it's mountainous, so it's not very easy to buy. You can buy land with it, but God, the prices were astronomical for that. Mothball Mountain fell quite a bit. This is the first of the already pre-unlocked parks. Dynamite Dunes, I guess I don't understand why it's there. A big mine train coaster in the middle of the desert is what you start with. Alright, but had a pretty decent goal, pretty lofty goal for a first-time player with 650 guests in 3 years, especially when Forest Frontier was 250 in 1. However, I just don't remember this park being particularly fun, looking back at it. Honestly, Aqua Park should be a lot lower than this, but it comes down to horrible path design work, water slide that doesn't work, that has already crashed previously before the park has started, and that gets stalls a lot, a poor racing log flume idea. Although, you can do a lot of fun stuff with this park once you get going. I guess that's kind of redeeming about it, but poor park design. Outside of Mega Park, this is the closest thing you get to a sandbox park Pacific Pyramids is. It's a 4-year park which only requires 1,000 guests, same as Evergreen Gardens, but smaller. I honestly forgot that this park existed. Plus a really weird underground path, but outside of that, it's kind of there, easy to build on. You can buy a ton of land with it, and I don't remember it being particularly expensive. And with a 4-year park, you're probably going to need to buy some land. A lot of people love Bumblebee Beach. Some even call it their best park that the game ever produced. I don't see that. I think Bumblebee Beach was mediocre at best. It was small. The construction rights over the beach never really interested me. The pre-built coaster crashed all the time, even though it was new for some reason for me. It was just a strange park that I didn't care for all that much. However, it is the first unlockable park, which kind of makes it interesting. Leafy Lake is one of those parks that I have a love-hate relationship with. I don't typically like building over the lake, so it's very difficult for me to find places where I can build stuff without taking up a huge back spot for a roller coaster, the huge back area. Outside of that, easy to work with, get a ton of money for it, like 50,000 if I remember, and Leafy Lake is a good park for a starter park, park number 3. Three Towers was the third to last park, which is characterized for its bad vandalism and, I don't know, does it have disgusting paths? I think it does. Just isn't a bad shaped park. However, once you fix that, the park by itself could probably get 1,000 guests by year 3. It's not terribly difficult, and I think if they should have raised the goal a little bit more loftier than just 1,000 guests by the end of year 3, that might have made this a lot higher on my list. Diamonds are forever, and in the case of this gem, it is a long-lasting park in my vision. This was seriously the first park that I honestly failed, because it is a park value park, the first one in the game. And outside of the coasters consistently, agoraphobia and claustrophobia consistently crashing, it is a pretty memorable park for that. The park is a great park, it is one of my favorites, but it fell to number 7 because the parks above it are just better. If I took a general consensus of all the major players of Roller Coaster Tycoon, Rainbow Valley would probably rank as the worst park. However, I love the challenge of not being able to rip down trees. It adds this park to a whole nother dimension. It's very difficult to build flat rides on because of the terrain, and because you can't change any of the landscape with it. You can't take down trees or anything. This park is one of my favorites because of the challenge it provides you, and it is a seriously challenging park. If you just opened the game not one time, you probably know this park. Forest Frontiers is the first park in the game, and seriously, it is one of the better, it's probably one of the best in the game, because, not just because of the goal itself is a pretty easy one for the opening park, 250 guests by the end of year 1, but the fact that it is fun, and the after game's pretty interesting because you can buy a lot more land, and you can have some fun with this park after the goal has been reached. Entering some pretty legendary territories for parks now. Evergreen Gardens, one of the original 5, needed 1,000 guests to get in. This one's up here because it's huge, you can have a lot of fun with it, and it is by far the most beautiful park out of the originals. I'd even call it the most beautiful park in Roller Coaster Tycoon history. It is a fantastic to look at park. You gotta be smart with building around it, but it is a fun park to mess with, and I enjoy it deeply. I decided not to count Mega Park in this challenge because A, it is the reward, it's not listed typically in the game. Mega Park doesn't have a goal, and pretty much, it's weird because Loopy Landscapes came out a lot later. And Mega Park, if you haven't gotten as far in Loopy Landscape, Mega World Park is pretty much just a fully furnished, if you might say so, version of Mega Park. Which leads me to say that there's some interesting stuff going on that maybe Loopy Landscapes was in development long before when it actually came out, because this park, like I said, it is Mega Park just without all the rides in it. It's big, you gotta do a little bit of path stuff, but you have no goal. It's pretty much there just for fun, and because of the fact that it has no goal, I decided not to count it, but it deserves a mention because it is fun, and it is a great reward for when you finally beat the 21 original parks, which can be a bit of a lofty goal. Before we got into the top 3 also, I wanted to say that the top 3 parks are probably separated by about the width of a sheet of paper. I love all 3 parks dearly. However, I did rank them in what I think is my order, but however, these can change at any given moment, and I love all of these parks for different reasons, but I love all of them. In fact, they're quite similar parks, to be honest with you. Getting the bronze medal is Karts and Coasters. I like this park mainly because you can get a lot going with the 2 monstrous wooden coasters, and the 2 go-karts are cash cows. Even though they're long go-kart tracks, you might want to turn king karts into a continuous circuit one. I don't like doing that, but typically I felt like I had to. The trees are also a bit annoyance, but it was also the first of the year 3 parks to require 1,000 guests, which was kind of whoa, we're getting into serious territory now, and now, looking back, it's quite easy to do that. But Karts and Coasters does hold a good spot with me. You just gotta make sure you keep those coasters mainly inspected, because they will crash. Coming in not too far behind number 1 is Lightwater Valley. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's Katie's World. Katie's World pretty much is based off Lightwater Valley, which is a real-life amusement park in Great Britain. They have a very long, you could call it mine train coaster, being the ultimate, or in this case, the Storm. They had an indoor coaster that is now named Raptor Attack, Runaway Plumber. They had one of the mini flying coasters, Forest Flyer in this case. I like this park. It's just good. I have a lot of fun with this park. Just gotta make sure you keep Storm under check because, like I said, with Karts and Coasters, the Storm will crash, 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 and crash. If you were doing process of elimination, that only leaves one left, Crumbly Woods. The whole idea behind this park is it's old, and it has a bad path network. That's probably the only thing I don't like about it, and there's a lot of trees. But the park is old. The rides break down consistently because they're old. And it's sad to see because that wooden coaster is probably the best pre-built coaster in, I'd say, close to any Roller Coaster Tycoon game that they give you. And I really don't like ripping it down. I will try whatever I can to keep that thing running. However, if you thought the Storm in them were bad, I mean, those were like 3 or 4 years old. I mean, I think this one starts you off with wood chip, giving you, I think, 14 years. This park needs work, but it's all for fun, and this park is my favorite park for those reasons. So those are my rankings of the parks. Like I said, there are a few I love, and quite a few I don't like. I can mainly spot a flaw with the majority of them. Maybe Katie's World I can't really spot a flaw with, but, outside of that, these parks are, quite honestly, a lot of fun. The game is a lot of fun. If you disagree with anything I posted, please post in the comments below. I'm interested to read why you might think the Trinity Islands is the #1 park, or why one of the parks I ranked pretty low should be higher. Um, I I will say this: out of the original parks, my favorite parks did not come from Roller Coaster Tycoon. Did not come out of the original game. For that, they came out of Corkscrew Follies, which I fully intend on ranking all the Corkscrew Folly parks, if the demand is there. But until then, I'll see ya.